Awesome. So today, we're going to have Nicole speaking on the topic of leading with moral authority, doing the right thing for your team and your product. Nicole works with organizations that want to develop high value products and services and high performing teams. Her coaching philosophy is about connectedness, improving culture and employee engagement through collaboration, transparency, employee empowerment, continuous improvement, and trust. Nicole, I will go ahead and turn it over to you. Let me stop share.
Great, thank you. All right, can you all see my screen? Yeah, awesome.
Yes.
I'm gonna adjust so I can try to see you all while I do this.
I'm sorry.
And the chat too. Man, this is going to be great. I'm going to be able to see everything. Okay. So thank you so much for having me, everyone. Again,
All right. We get to
Okay,
that.
I thought it was Caroline talking. That's why I was stopping.
Yeah, Alfonso.
So as we said, I am Nicole Derr, and I have been doing Agile coaching and related roles for, gosh, probably around 15 years now. I actually started as a technical writer, as a member of a team, and then kind of worked my way through all of the various roles. I was a Agile business analyst, a product owner, a product manager, Scrum Master, and eventually an Agile coach. I have coached across the entire organization from teams all the way up to like senior leaders, and across the entire enterprise. So that's a little bit about me. What do you say we get into it? So the agenda today is we're going to talk about a little bit about moral authority. Then we're going to talk about the current state of our working world. We're going to talk about how can we recognize moral compromise, our options for addressing moral compromise, and then I've got a bit of an exercise for us where we can try to think of ways to combat moral compromise in our offices or places of work. But before we get started, let's just start with like a really basic question, which I actually think's harder to answer than you might think. What is moral authority anyway? Like, what do you think?
I can take this.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Right.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, sure thing. So not everyone may agree with this, and I definitely preface that with this statement, but for me, moral authority would be God. And why I was attracted to Agile as a whole is I realized that my existing career did not kind of enable my core values. So when I was upskilling and diving into Agile program leadership, I discovered the Scrum values of courage, respect, transparency, and the psychological safety that is the building block of agility actually goes hand in hand with my faith. So Jesus was a servant leader, right? And so for me, moral authority is that basis that I ground my day-to-day decisions off of. So I would give an example of, hey, I may be able to cut a corner and fudge a budget on a report, but what I don't get from that, right, is that long-term principle of sowing and reaping. So for me, my moral authority is based on God, which dictates how I conduct business and how I just conduct myself as a human being, and why I was attracted to the Scrum Master role. So that's just a little about what I think.
I think that's amazing. Like, look, I think that for some people, this will be something that is based in their religion, right? And for other people, it will be more of a moral or ethical grounding. And all of these answers are right? There is no wrong answer. So I love that. I think that was beautifully said. Thank you so much. Does anybody else have any thoughts on what moral authority might mean to them as we're just starting to think about this?
I think for me, like, am I going to be able to sleep at night? Like, my behavior is how I act. Like I always say, if it feels good to your soul, do that. And I don't want anything to weigh on my conscience. So I think I try to go into like my behaviors and how I treat people. And I'm certainly not perfect. I have probably made the wrong choices my entire life in different aspects. But I think at the end of the day, it's all about trying to be authentic to myself. Also not doing something that doesn't represent who I am, and doing something because somebody says I should do it. You know, if it just because we're guided and there's decisions that you don't have power over making. I do have power on how I act on them or what I do about that. So I think it's all around that too. So for me, I want to be able to lay my head down at night and not be worried about something I did or said or acted, in a way that's gonna not be a reflection of who I am as a person.
I just think that's beautiful. And I would add, for me, like, I love that you talked about, like, will you be able to sleep at night? Like for me, there are some like physical signs that we have that maybe we're not sort of following our moral compass, right? And one for me is like, I get this feeling in my belly, this sort of like knots or butterflies feeling in my belly. And so I like that you brought up the physical part of it. Very nice. Anyone else?
I think for me, it's knowing that I'm doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Like, it's kind of like a roundabout way of answering it, but like knowing that I'm putting in whatever effort I'm putting in, I know that like in my core, that's how like the golden rule, right? Like treat others how you want to be treated. I think that's what kind of comes to mind when I talk about moral authority or when I see moral authority.
Yeah, I like that one too. And I'm just going to share, that's actually kind of my answer too, is it's doing the right thing, even when it's hard. But I will also share that I've been doing some research lately that has been really interesting to me, that sometimes it's hard to know the right thing to do, and it really is contextual. And so I think that as we dig into this, we might uncover, you kind of need to consider everything that's going on around you in order to make a good decision. So that's something I've been looking into recently. All right, well, I'm going to move us forward then, if it's okay with everyone else. Thank you so much for sharing. And let's just start with innovative products, right? We know an innovative product when we see it, and we know that they come from teams that are supported, that are free to run experiments, that are trusted to use their expertise. And all of those things are things we would consider modern, strategic, and creative leadership techniques, right? So if we think about those teams, they would look something like this, right? If you're in your workplace, you'd see people working in this manner. And this is what it wouldn't look like, right? That we wouldn't see people who are just exhausted, who are like under extreme pressure, who have someone looking over their shoulder continuously. That would not be what we would consider to be a way to lead with moral authority. Nevertheless, many of us today find ourselves in this sort of pressure cooker environment at work, right? Where there are layoffs, there are frozen wages, increased workloads, increased scrutiny, more command and control, shortened timelines, benefit cuts, return to office mandates, and long hours. So you would think, based on all of these types of things that are happening in our workplaces right now, that the corporate world is just literally on fire, right? Like, the only reason you could imagine that a manager or leader of an organization would do those things would be because they were under intense pressure, to save the company, right? But it's interesting. If you look at the stock market, it's actually been going gangbusters for like, I don't know, a year. This ends in March, but I think it's still going like up, right? If I'm not mistaken. We can look at productivity, like it's going through the roof. If you think about, there's actually, if you do check the research, productivity has been going up since like something like the 1940s. It's gone up like 400% since then. So, and recently it's done sort of like the hockey stick thing. It's like really rackety, moving up. Interestingly, our salaries have only gone up 100% in that same time frame. So productivity has gone up 400%. Our salaries have gone up 100%. Meanwhile, CEO compensation is going through the roof. And look, ours, if you look at this graph, ours have stayed mainly stable really since about 2000. So for like 2 decades. So I might argue that this fire that we're being told we're under, right, with the layoffs and everything, is a fabricated crisis, perhaps, right? And I don't know if any of you follows or used to follow Stephen Colbert, but you know, he has this word, he says truthiness, which is, he says, we're not talking about truth, we're talking about something that seems like truth, the truth we want to exist. So I have a theory that the people who are leading these types of organizations and their shareholders, right, they're benefiting from this current system, right? That they're getting a whole lot of money out of this system, and they want us to feel scared, whatever, so that we will continue to deliver the productivity and, you know, keep things going. But maybe you're thinking, yes, of course, like, duh, Nicole, yes, we see that, we have seen that for decades. But I would ask you, well, why does it matter? Like, why should we care? Well, because when that happens, when we take the value out of the organization and we strip it out and deliver it to the top leaders and the shareholders, well, there's not much left to deliver down into the organization, right? Or to our employees or their communities. And so when that happens, our businesses are empty, our communities are gutted, and our people are hopeless. That's not a good thing, right? So what's also interesting is that we know that, this thing we know in our guts, right? That like doing the right thing and working in a moral way is, we know that that's good for our companies, that it leads to longer lasting companies, more, you know, things that more strategic decisions and benefits to our communities. We know that, and we have data to prove it. So why are we doing this? Like, how I feel seen. Yes, thank you. I'm so glad to hear that. How does this make you feel? Anybody? Like, how do you feel about this?
Off.
Sorry, what was it?
Ripped off.
Ripped off. I love, yes.
Yeah, like ripped off. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe you feel frustrated. Maybe, I don't know. I'm kind of angry. Like, this is ridiculous, right? Like, we should not be going through this, especially like we're the people who know, right? Like, as Agilists, like, we really know that we really are acutely aware of the situation, right? So I want to ask you, whatever emotions you're feeling right now, I want you to channel those emotions and let's do something about this, right? However small. And so today we're going to work on this, right? We're going to try to figure out what we can do in our positions to affect change around this problem of a lack of moral authority at work. So what can you do? I want you to think about the things we talked about before and just shout out things that you can think of as examples of these problems that are happening in your work, like real world examples. So like I'll share one. Like I worked at a company where they used velocity as part of their performance evaluation of teams. Like, duh, right? Like that's not good, right? Like we don't care so much about output, we care about outcomes, and doing something like that just is like a race to the bottom, right? So there's an example. Can you think of some other ones that are happening in your place of work?
I would say, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Mary, I don't want to cut you off, but I'm going to anyways. This is I feel like a kind of sensitive topic, and I know that you guys know that we're recording. We will definitely cut out these parts that are like sensitive. So feel free to like open up, let's have this conversation. The topics, like the things in the recording that will share are more of like Nicole's presentation. So as she's asking these questions, feel free to, you know, feel all those feelings, feel free to come out clean, you know. I think this one thing from Lean Beer that really comes through is Vegas rules apply. What happens in this conversation stays in this conversation. So feel free to to be open about whatever you want to say.
Thanks for saying that, Nisha. And I want to also offer that if you don't want to share, like, which company this was with, or if it's maybe something that a friend experienced or so, that's fine too, right? The idea here is for us to just get exposed to these ideas, these things, so that when we see them in action, we're like, I see it now, right? We're aware of it.
So, Mary, I'd like to invite you to share what you were thinking about.
I was going to say, and I've experienced this at a couple of different companies, just overly focusing on hitting the deadlines that you kind of arbitrarily create when you start a sprint, that you're going to complete this task in a certain length of time. But so often in software development, it's not clear what exactly the work is until the developers get in there and begin working. And there are, versions need to be updated, tools need to be replaced, just like all these unanticipated things and then there's this like artificial pressure to continue to meet that deadline and deliver the work that was promised when really the work you're delivering has changed. And that's something that you kind of have to push back against, I find, and it leads to a lot of stress for the development team if you're not successful in pushing back.
And to dovetail on what Mary just shared, I can say that I've been hearing in workplaces for the last few years an expression that it just drives me nuts, but sense of urgency. They just keep pounding on, oh, everybody's got to have a sense of urgency. We got to get this done, and to me, it's almost more like firefighting as opposed to really planning.
I like that one. I worked for a company that
Yeah.
said their focus was, this is along those same lines. We're focusing this year on predictability, becoming predictable. And I was like, I don't think you mean predictability the same way we might mean it in an agile environment, right? They meant like saying when something would be done and then delivering it on that date, which to yours and Mary's points is almost impossible in a called a VUCA world where we have all this uncertainty, right?
Something that I've come across in multiple client engagements as a consultant under my own company, consultant in a company, consultant, and a consultant as a full-time employee with an organization. I've seen it across the board, is this thing about work, this is something we want you to do. It will help you build your career and give you visibility. But if it's not billable, then it's on your own time. But yet it needs to be part of your goals to align with the strategic vision, but yet like we care about we care about the billability, right? So we call it. And I've seen that even for FTEs where, there's these, you want to build an agile community, you want to reach out, you want to become part of the other, you want to sprinkle yourself across the organization in different ways, but it's seen as important, it's supported, but we're not giving you the time to do that, right? And so I see that all the time, and it's frustrating because you want to like the things that we're doing here, like these are things we're passionate about. We're here on a Thursday night because we care about this, right? We want to have this conversation. But when it's something related to work and goals and things that are going to benefit an organization, sometimes it's expected that you're just going to overextend yourself, right? And we're all about sustainability, but we don't think about that for ourselves sometimes. So I find that that's something that I struggle with. When you said I saw increased workloads, and it made me think of that, or that we're taking a role. How many people see the roles in Agile changing in the job descriptions where we're putting 5 positions on one person? They want, sometimes a Scrum Master, I've seen it written as an engineer doing deployments. Like, it scares me. So I don't know if that's out of line, like out of where your scope is, but these are things that I kind of feel like get bastardized, right? And abused. And yeah.
I think that one totally falls in line. I saw a posting, 2 postings I've seen in the last couple of days. One was for a Scrum Master that was basically a project manager. Like it was all about balancing the budget and like creating reports. It was nothing about the team. And then another one was an Agile coach requiring 1 year of experience, I think. Like as like 1 year of experience in Agile, it said 1 year in Agile. I mean, what? You know? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even want to go down the rabbit hole of how these roles are becoming commoditized. What I'd like to focus on a little bit more right now is that return to office mandate. I think that I've been seeing quite a bit of this in it doesn't matter the domain or the location. It seems that after the return, COVID has been over, a lot of organizations are forcing this partly to justify their investments in property. And also that quite often they sign agreements with their lease agreements that they will have X number of employees on site to help support the local economy.
Yep.
And workers are being forced to do things when they've already proved that they can work perhaps better remotely than they can on site.
Yeah, I saw a study today that showed that they did like a real like A/B type study, right, where they divided people up evenly between like working remotely or working full time in the office. They found no difference in their like promotions, being able to be promoted, no difference in their performance and their productivity. They found a 33% like improvement in retention in the people who were working remote. So the only thing they found that was like, what was actually a positive for remote work. So yeah, and another reason that I believe that people, why companies are doing this too. One is that they get a tax rebate, right? Like a tax abatement from the community. And that's part of that. Like, well, you have to have so many people working in the like whatever central core or whatever, because then that stimulates the economy. And the other one was there's been some evidence to suggest that leaders readily admit that this was a way to sort of cull extra employees. They just, because they'll quit and they don't have to give them a severance. So none of that is moral, is it?
Here's my takeaway. So all I can say is I have chills and I feel seen. But what I want to know is, what do we do?
Thank you. That's like I planted
Because
you.
I feel very depressed right now because
So-
everything is just so right on. And I'm just like, this is why I believe in organizations like this, because you have people who can say me too and demystify it. So it's not just you, because that is so solid. And I am just so grateful to be here.
I am so glad to hear you, because this is part of the reason why I'm giving this talk, is because I'm trying to make it okay to have this conversation and bring us together, right? We're all feeling this right now. So let's find a way to get together and do something about it.
Have it just for my tears.
All right, so let's move right on then. I think, was your name Ashley? Is that right? Yeah, Ashley. So let's get on with it, as Ashley would like to do. You know about this video game, or this game, but let's make a deal. There's like 3 doors, right? I think you have 3 options. Okay, so let's get right into those. And I'm gonna offer you another game show. This one is Name That Tune. So I've got 3 different options, each one represented by a song, okay? Because they say that when you hear a song, it helps you remember things, So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna play the song, and then I want you to put in the chat when you know the name of the song, and see if you can win the Name That Tune, okay? So this is our one of the 3 options, okay? Here we go.
You know the day destroys the night, night divides the day.
Put it in the chat. Do
Try
it.
to run, try to hide, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other side.
right, yeah, you guys got it. So that one is break on through by the doors. And this option basically is the one where you try to affect change upward, right, in your organization. So you're going to try to coach up. So you've got these leaders in the organization that are working in a certain way and you can see that doesn't align with your moral compass or maybe what's best for the organization. This is where you're going to apply your coaching skills and consulting skills to suggest to those leaders a different way to act, right? A different way to handle the pressures they're under, right? Does that kind of make sense? Kind of? Okay. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail there. We'll do a little bit more of that later when we get into the activity. But okay, that's option 1. All right, option 2. How many notes do you need? Yep, you're right. You got that one. It's still the one. And let's see here. I can get, there we go. I didn't even know the name of this group. I had to look it up. I'm embarrassed to say, but I know that song. It's a great one, right? And the message here is, if you are loving like your colleagues and you're really happy where you are in your company, then you want to stick around, right? Then the option here is to work with like underneath that ceiling that is preventing you from moving up, right? So if that coaching up one is a struggle, you're having trouble doing that, you can look for opportunities that are more broad, like across the organization, inside your layer, if you will, or below it, right? So you can look for ways to apply moral authority lower in the organization. Cool? Okay, so we've got one more for you. How many notes do you need for this one?
Problem is all inside your head, she said to me. The answer is easy if you take it logically. I'd like to help you in your struggle to be free. There must be 50 ways to leave your lover. She said it's really not my habit to intrude. Furthermore, I hope my meaning won't be lost or misconstrued. But I'll repeat myself. At the risk of being crude, there must be 50 ways to leave your lover. 50 ways to leave your lover. You just slip out the back, Jack. Make a new plan, Stan. You don't need to be coy, Roy. Just get yourself free. Or hop on the bus, Gus. You don't need to discuss much. Just drop off the key, leave, and get yourself free. Slip out the back, Jack. Make a new plan, Stan. You don't need to be coy, Roy. You just listen to me. Hop on the bus, Gus. You don't need to discuss much. Just drop off the key, leave, and get yourself free.
All right, Alfonso gets the award for that one. Yep, it is Paul Simon. I played that one a little long just because I really like it. So yeah, this one is like when you're just ready, right? When you're like, I just can't do anything else here. When there is no opportunity to affect positive change in the environment you're in, then it's time to look for a new environment, right? And get yourself free, right? That doesn't mean you have to leave your org. It can mean that, right? It could mean looking for another job in a different company. It could mean looking for a different role in a different department or something like that, right? It could mean branching out on your own as an independent consultant, which is actually what I chose to do just a couple of months ago. So yeah, that's option 3. Okay. So thanks for indulging me and playing the game. That was super fun. And hopefully those will help you remember your 3 options. Then let's talk about option 4, the bury your head in the sand option. Really, this is the non-option. We really cannot afford to just do nothing, right? We really do need to do something. So just try to keep that one in mind. I will say though that there really are no easy answers here. Like we are going to have to sort of speak up, say the hard things, engage in this difficult conversation. There are some very real risks. I don't want to pretend that we're just, oh, you can just do whatever you want and everything will be hunky-dory. But I want to say that maybe some of them are not so real, right? Maybe we have built up in our minds that maybe saying, hey, this is not morally correct would get us fired or something like that, right? Maybe it won't actually. And I say, so I want us to start sort of in the next time that we have together, think about ways that we could bring these sort of things to the surface and have a conversation in a way that, is sort of protects us. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so we already talked
How
about.
do you suggest that though? Like, how do you suggest starting those hard conversations?
So let's go to, I have created a mural for us to work through this.
Oh, cool.
Because I think the trick is finding the right words, right? And the right time, all of those types of things. So I guess the mural is in the chat. If you want to join us on the board, you are welcome to. I'd love to have you. If you're like driving or something, that's okay too. You can just, shout them out and we'll put them on the board for you. But so we talked about some examples of moral compromise earlier. Let's get those on the board. And then next we're going to talk about how might you respond. Sound good? Okay. So I'm going to jot down the couple that I wrote them down as you all were talking, but if you think of some other ones, let's get those on the board too. So I know that we talked about deadlines or even I'm going to call them fake deadlines because they oftentimes are. We talked about that sort of that sense of urgency concept, which is being sort of misused. Is anybody thinking of anything else? I see that Vicky's adding some. We also talked about the like it not being billable, but you still have to do it. Like, you need to.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put it's not billable. I think we know what that means. We said overextending yourself, which is sort of aligned with that one. And we said the 5 positions in one role, which is also.
Yeah.
Anybody think of anything else that other examples of moral compromise as we've been working here today that we want to add to our list?
I struggle with leaders who don't eat their own dog food or lead by example. They'll talk the talk, but they won't walk the walk. To me, that's, it's just something very inauthentic about that and also just fake. Like,
yeah,
you can see, you can smell that a mile away where someone just acts like they're like it's for natural transformation. Oh yeah, I'm all game. I get the importance, I get it, but then I'm a leader who won't change my behaviors. I won't change my command and control. I won't become the way that I need to be, leading by example. And supporting this in the way I am. And to me, that's fraudulent in a big way.
I love that one. And I think part of what we're working on today is we're finding ways to lead by example, right? We need some role models in our community so that other people see us doing the right thing, and that gives them the courage to also do the right thing. Maybe those leaders, if they see us doing the right thing in hard situations, feel some more confidence and be willing to step up. I don't know, like it's an experiment,
Yeah.
What else? Has anybody thought of anything else? Agile roles, not really agile. I see we've added return to work mandates. Absolutely. Any other examples of moral compromise before we move on?
So many.
I mean, we could go on all night on this, right? But
yes, the well is not going to run dry.
I think to everyone's point, we want to get on to the positive part, like what can we do, right? So let's move over to how might you respond. And I also want to share, just before we move, to show you this entire board. You could run this with like a community group or with your team. This would be a great retrospective to run with your team, because what we're going to do is think about how we might respond and then decide, okay, we got all these options, which ones should we pick, right? And if you look down here further, we can say, we can pick the things that we might like to do. We can put them on a priority matrix to figure out which ones are the ones that are going to be most successful in our environment. And then we can talk about what do we want to do first? When should we start? What might get in our way? Things like that, right? And you can even create yourself a Kanban board, right? I don't think I put that on here, but you could create yourself a Kanban board with the things you want to do, and then sort of hold yourselves accountable to those things. So you're welcome to use this if you would like, with, outside of this session. It's
You have this saved as a template?
I don't, but I can make one. This is just a board, but I will do that.
Okay.
Let me make a note.
This is great. This is fantastic.
That's a great idea. Thank you. So, all right, so let's get back up here to how might you respond? All right, so you've got one of these situations over here. What do you think you might do? I'm going to move them all over here so we can see them. See, someone has added challenge our value and that it should be invested in. Can anyone elaborate on that one? What's that one?
So I was thinking about the one that I kind of ranted off on with the non-billable work, or just, yeah, we believe in it. We want you to do it. We think it's important. Our benefits, definitely, our org is going to benefit from this. Okay, well then why can't we make this something that is billable, right? This is something that even if it's within the organization, somehow having like funding that as a value stream, almost even, right? For continuous improvement, or just the kind of work that we do, or the things that we want to be leading, that maybe don't fall under what we could bill a client for, but where's the investment from our leaders, right? And so to me, it's like, it's pushing back on that.
I love that. And I'm even trying to think of like, what words would I use? And I might try something like, I don't know, what would it take for us to be able to do, what would we call this? Like,
I mean, it's almost like a mission, right? It's almost like, or have it as some of the built into OKRs, right? That we can actually align with. We can actually align to it because we are doing the work, but leadership's calling it out, right? And then so there should be some financial support there if it comes from as a strategic goal.
I'm really liking that, the OKRs and strategic goals, yes. Because then.
And then you're speaking their language.
Yeah, and
then
you
we're
gotta have
speaking
some
their language.
funding to
Yeah.
do that, right? So I'm loving that. That's you're totally talking their language. I can't think of the word. I'm
Add
looking
some
for.
color around this because I actually had an experience with this relatively recently. And one of my mentors suggested when you pitch something, articulating the problem you're going to solve. So instead of making it, Ashley wants to do X, it's like, unfortunately, it's a fallen world, like, what's in it for me? Okay, well, let me go back and do some research and see what benefits you get of actually doing X, right? Like, does it give you a seat at the table? Would I join a committee that you could benefit from? Could it make us revenue? And then even thinking like 3-5 years down the road, because sometimes you may not see the value and the ROI right away, which can deter people from networking and all that. But when you plant seeds and water them with relationships, those connections can lead to opportunities. Even with women in Agile, I've seen that. And I would definitely, something that worked for me recently was really articulate the value add instead of like, this is the Ashley show and Ashley really wants to do this. Right?
Right.
That makes sense.
But you can get a coalition behind you where you're creating a campaign for your cause, and you might get other people. It's actually something I'm trying to lead in my current organization. There's something I'm trying to do around Agile coaching value proposition, and how do we measure our value and how do we articulate that, right, and assess it. And I have now bringing up saying that, this is something I'm passionate about. I have people raise their hands saying, I want to be part of that. So you create like a movement almost, right?
Oh, you just brought up like all kinds of really good ideas for me. So yes, like, do you guys know about Potter's, how many steps does he have? Is it 8 steps? Right. One of them is to build a coalition, which is exactly what
Yep,
you
guiding coalition. Yep.
Yeah. And then the other thought I had was, that TED talk that's the first follower. Do you guys know about that one? So you got to go find it. I think you just search first follower, you'll find it. But it's a guy at like a music festival on a hill, and he's dancing, and he's like, everyone else is sitting on their blankets, like listening to the music. There's one guy just dancing wildly, right? And then the TEDx guy is like narrating it, right? And eventually one other guy comes and joins him and starts dancing as well. And first everyone's looking at him and laughing, right? And this one guy finally comes and joins them. And the guy that does the TEDx, I don't remember his name, he says, it's not so important to be the leader. What's more important is the first follower. Because once you have that second person, then everyone else came and started dancing, right? Oh, she found it. Yes, Derek Sievers, that's his name. Yeah. So, thank you, Nisha.
Sorry.
Yeah, go
Can I
ahead.
ask a question on that? So as someone who strives to be that leader who's different from the pack, how do you cultivate courage to be different and stand out? And I say that from something I'm currently trying to work on. How do you kind of, when you're not in a senior leadership role, be okay being different, right?
Yeah.
Any ideas?
Well, so I can tell you what works for me, because
Yes,
I
perfect.
also try to do the same thing, right?
Mhm.
First of all, I remind myself, right? I oftentimes find myself like, okay, Nicole, take a deep breath, like ground yourself, remember why you're doing this. It's for the common good. I have to like remind myself. That is like my first step. And then the other one is it takes practice. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. It's sort of like I don't know, like running a marathon, right? Like you don't just go out one morning and like run whatever, how many miles is a marathon? Like it's a whole bunch, right? You don't just do that one day, right? Like you start with like you run around the block, and then you go a mile, and then you go 3 miles, right? So like start small and just keep doing it, right? So that building stamina. Yeah, Diana, thank you. I think to me, that's what works for me. And then sometimes I will even say to the person before I say the hard thing, I'll say like, look, I have a moral obligation to tell you this. So I'm like, like I'm warning them ahead of time. You might not like what you're going to hear.
Yeah.
But it is my, you hired me to tell you these things. And so I can't in good faith sweep this under the rug,
I think that it's interesting, and Ashley kind of did this in her, right, and something that she shared with us, which I think is incredibly personal and incredibly brave, on her beliefs and how that ties to who she is and her moral authority, is you're showing, being brave, right, which to me, courageous authenticity is the hardest thing to get to, right, being courageous in that. But then you're showing, you're leading by example on um ways that you can be vulnerable, take a risk, but speak up for yourself, and then you're creating trust. I think you're inherently going to create trust as a byproduct, even if that wasn't even your goal, because if you're going to be that raw and that real and that vulnerable, how can someone not trust you?
Amen. And actually, I didn't share this book earlier, but you guys ever seen this one, The 7 Pillars Servant Leadership? This is kind of an older one, but it's got a chapter that they call Moral Authority, which talks about kind of what we're talking about today. I have not found another book that actually talks about this. I mean, they kind of beat around the bush of it, but this one, I think, in that one chapter addresses it. And they talk about this too, right? Is that, and I will share that the Coveys, the like, what are the books, the 7 habits and all the, the son and the dad, like they talk about this too, but they don't call it this, right? And it's about, as you said, being courageous, being vulnerable, being authentic, because moral authority is having someone follow you because they want to follow you, not because like positionally you have a positional authority and they're forced to follow you. Right? Yeah. And I do think that, as I said earlier, like being a role model is key, because I think there are a lot more people than we know sitting out there feeling just like we are. And they're just like, well, I'm not going to say anything. Right. And if they see that you speak up and you don't lose your job, and maybe you are even still getting promoted and whatever, right, you're being successful. Yeah, it's the bystander effect. It's the first follower, right? They see 2 people do it, they're like, all right, I'm in. Most people will not be the leader or the first follower, but after you get 2, it's kind of like the guardrails are down,
That's so good. And I had a mentor give advice too actually, it started from the first 90 days book, but build allies. And How Women Rise, I think, touches on this too. That's a really great book. Build your allies. And someone said this, and it resonated with me, even though I'm not a senior leader yet, is that I would like to be. But he was saying you bring your friends with you, right? You don't just take the presidency, you bring a cabinet of people you trust. So like I'd bring this girl, like, hey, I'm starting my own business. I know a really great product manager. Are you in? Like think about Apple, right? Like these companies that they surround themselves with trusted allies. So that's really good. Thank you. Very, very helpful. This is so timely for me. It's unbelievable.
Awesome. I'm so glad. I'd be willing to bet you're not the only one that this is timely for. I think that we are sort of in I don't know, we're at a crossroads as like a society. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying not to be like all like doom and gloom and like that, like making a big deal out of something, but I do really think this is a pretty big deal, and we need to do something. There are more of us than there are of these few people at the top of these organizations that are, controlling things. And I think we need to do something, Anyway, that's my soapbox. Yeah, I like that. Yet. It won't be long. All right, so let's see, how are we doing on time? It's about 7:30. Any other thoughts on how you might respond? We take a couple more.
Putting up boundaries.
That's good, yeah. Can you say a little bit more about what you mean by that?
It's not just about protecting your team or your team's time. It's also about protecting yourself and your time as well. So as Agilists, we are always blocking others from coming in and disrupting our teams. But I find myself really just not being able to put up those boundaries for myself as well as I can for my team. Also, like, my husband says this all the time. He's like, why are you still working? It's 5 o'clock. Shut your computer. Have
Yes.
some boundaries. Like, you're not getting paid for this. Why are you doing it?
So I have a great story about that, actually. I did the same
Say it
thing.
louder for the people in the back.
In my last job, and I know that, right? We all know that, right? We all know that that's the right thing to do. You know what I did in my last job? The place was falling apart. And what did I do? I like doubled down on the company. Like I spent, more time in meetings and did more work that didn't deliver value because the place was falling apart. And I was like, that's what I need to do. I should have been setting a boundary and stepping out and working on myself and my own business, right? Because they should have seen the writing on the wall, right? Duh. Like and I think this is the point, that pressure cooker picture. If you feel like you're in a pressure cooker, it's hard to stop and think, right? It's hard to stop and be like, wow, I'm not making a good decision right now. So setting up those boundaries gets us out of the pressure cooker, so we can look into the pressure cooker and be like, yeah, okay, that's crazy, and I should do something to see my way out of this pressure cooker.
Yeah. I want to add to that because Nisha, like, that is so. When I went back into this type of work, so I took a hiatus and actually did real estate for a while. It was kind of crazy, and just decided I was going to go do that and realize I hate it. Too much peopling in the wrong way. But coming back, it's like I had a goal that, okay, if I'm going to come back and do this, right, do this thing, this normal job thing, I'm setting boundaries because I have overcooked myself, and the well runs dry. And if we can't take care of ourselves, and we can't give ourselves that time to replenish ourselves and just rest, right? Just rest. And by the way, have a life outside of work, because I work to live, I don't live to work. I love what I do, and I give it like 100 zillion% when I'm on the job. But I have been trying to work very hard at shutting the laptop. That's why I hated real estate. It was 24/7. There is no shutting it off. That was the reason why I'm like, it's not for me. I have a side business with it. It's great. I refer people and get paid for it. Great. That's what I'm doing. It was 24/7. So the boundary thing was too important to me. Right. So, but I think it's also, okay, maybe we're asked to do something. There's that deadline we talk about, but then everyone's priority is number one, and maybe I'm supporting 3 different projects, right? So now I have to work overtime to meet that deadline. So now I'm breaking my boundary, right? So I think we have to say, what are we supposed to work on? What's the most important? Like, who's setting this tone? Or, okay, I'm context shifting too much. It's too much. I can't get this done based on the deadline because I'm not 100% allocated here. I think it ties into this, right? So
What you
thank you
just
for
said.
bringing it up. Yeah, it totally just, it resonates for me because right now, work-life balance, and I've had those health issues along with other people, that I am, we're only here for a short time, right? So it's balance, and we have to be able to like fight for that. And it's not to say I won't stretch when I really need to, because I sure as hell do. But it's like most days at 5 o'clock, I'm shutting the laptop. I'm closing the lid, So thank you for saying that, because I think that's a hard one.
Ashley just said something really great while we were on mute.
Yeah, so I learned this from personal experience. I relate, to say the least, but you can't pour from an empty cup. And something my women's BRG business resource group brought up today that I think is just so good, and I'll share it with you guys, is not just highlighting working moms, but saying like, hey, you're an associate. You don't have to work 12 hours. Go do something that fills your cup. So like for me, that's meeting with this gem right here and listening to people that make me feel seen and heard and special. Right. And I think it's just as important to celebrate what fills your cup. And one of my mentors in my company told me that. He said, find what fills your cup and then sprinkle that throughout your day, whatever that looks like for you. So like I know what mine are, and like find yours, like find what fills your cup and do not compromise on that. That's what I learned the hard way. Do not compromise on that, because what will happen is the output will be so not great that they'll be like, oh yeah, please go do whatever you need to do to be that Ashley. So I love that.
Quality suffers, right? Yeah, everything suffers.
Yeah. Yeah.
We could go off on this so much. We really.
I love this group.
All right, well, I'm gonna wrap us on that part then. I think we, as you said, we could go forever. I think these are all great ideas. I would add maybe one other one, which is any of you ever do any research into this concept of powerful questions that comes out of professional coaching? I'm gonna say use your powerful questions. So, you know, if you, instead of telling, like, if you're going to try that option one, the break on through one, like, instead of telling someone like, hey, you should really do XYZ, try a powerful question to get them thinking, right? So that's a thing you can experiment with too, as well. And then I just want to remind you about the like sort of step 2, if you'd like to take it, is once you have all these ideas, which ones do you want to actually take? Where do they, by fitting them here on this template, you can try to figure out which one is it. Is it, you know, you're trying to coach up? Is it you're trying to make an impact underneath the ceiling, or are you thinking about getting out? And then what do you need to do to prepare to do any of these ones that you might like to do, right? And then you can place them on the matrix to figure out which ones will be most effective with the least amount of risk and work. You can change your matrix if you'd like to. Instead of like maybe effort, you could maybe put risk, impact and risk. That might be another way to look at this, you know? And then finally, you'll want to ask yourself some questions along these lines, right? To help you move forward, because the last thing we want to do is do all this work and then not actually run an experiment, right? Like, let's try it, right? Let's get out there and be brave and courageous. Okay, so awesome conversation, guys. Thank you so much, or gals, guys and gals. Let's move back to the deck, because I don't want to keep you too late. Let's just do a little wrap up here.
We have till 8 o'clock, so
Do we have until 8?
good.
And
Yeah.
Is there a closing from the organizer?
Yeah, there's just a wrap up at the end for us, and it's just a few minutes. So you've got some more time.
Well, do you want to go? You guys want to go back to the exercise then for another? What do we got? Like maybe 5 or 10 minutes we could tack on here. You need like 7:50 is when you probably want me to hand over to you.
Well, I'm interested in hearing about the community information you shared with us, Nicole. I think the rest of the group would be interested as well.
All right, well, let's go there then. And then we can always, if we have time at the end, we can go back to our exercise. So a little bit of summary for you. Leading with moral authority is necessary for innovative products and solutions. It's also necessary for our mental and physical health, as we all have just recently talked about, and the well-being of our staff, organizations, communities, and society as a whole. It's hard to follow your moral compass in our current work environment, but you do have 3 options. One is to break on through or coach up. One is still the one, which is make an impact within the system or under the ceiling. The next one is to get yourself free and actually exit the system. And your decisions are based on several factors, among them impact and effort, and you might add risk to that list. And remember, this one is not an option, right? We do need to do something. And so I wanted to talk to you a bit about my community that I'm trying to put together here. So as I said, I have stepped out on my own in the last several months to pursue this as basically my career, right? I feel like it's so important that we do something in our workplaces that, and I think we all could use some support to do it. So I've got a couple of sort of programs I've got going. One is what I'm calling Powerful Questions for Leaders, which is a free lunch break. So we'll meet at lunchtime, we'll take one powerful question and we'll discuss it as a group about, any type of powerful, a difficult question for leaders. Another one is meetups like this one and speaking engagements. I'm working hard on having one of these a month to continue this conversation. I have what I call career nirvana for individuals, which is if you are maybe thinking about the get yourself free option, this might be an option for you. So this would be where we will put together a small cohort and we'll uncover what is our purpose, like why did we get into the work that we got into to begin with, and what can we do to get back on that path. And you will come out of the 6-week session with a blueprint for how to get back to your purpose. And then finally, I'm loosely calling this one corporate nirvana, which is basically the same thing, only inside your company, right? So if your team is feeling rudderless and without direction and like they're not following their moral compass, I can work with your team in the same capacity, or your organization, or whatever group makes sense for you. So if you will, if you're interested, you can either, I think she's going to post the link, she's already done that, or you can use the code there. It's just you give me your email address and I'll make sure you get invitations to everything I'm offering. And that was about it. So do we want to go back for maybe like 5-7 minutes and see what we can do with our exercises?
Can we maybe jump into some Q&A? I know Ashley has a question or two.
I'm open to Q&A if that works for everybody else.
Take it away, lady.
I actually forgot what my question was. I was just spellbound. I personally have a selfish question of opening your own business. Did you start speaking for free while you were working? I have so many questions around that, but that's more of a selfish question. But I think a question for the larger group would be kind of some challenges you've navigated with this, because it's great to have this amazing big idea you want to do, right? But what does it actually look like?
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious. Can you kind of walk us through like the Nicole Spark Notes real quick? Because you and Diana, I'm just like, wow, I want to be you.
I think I want to be you. So
we all have our superpowers.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Only knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, maybe a quick little bit about like starting your own business is that I had been kind of heading in this direction for probably 3 to 5 years.
Okay. Okay.
Becoming increasingly more frustrated with the experience in the corporate world where
Yeah.
I'm brought in and then basically asked to do something that I don't agree with. Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I started a side hustle about 2.5 years ago now. So I
Nice.
stood up my LLC, got like 2 clients, and started working that way. And so then
Okay.
things sort of like, getting shaky at my previous employer, I said,
Yeah.
okay, it's time now that the universe is telling me it's time to try to do this, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm working on right now. I can't promise that this is going to be a raging success, but
Okay.
yeah, I feel like I have to try.
Well, it's in the air because we were graciously hosted in kind by MBAR Collective, which is a think tank for up and coming tech entrepreneurs in Tampa. So the energy here is just very electric. I'm just like, ooh, big ideas. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, and not to be, I don't want to be like a super like sleazy salesperson, but the career nirvana thing would be a way to explore that path if that's something you're thinking that might be, part of your purpose. So I'll throw that out there. No pressure at all, of course. I just put it out there. And then the other question you asked was like what does it look like when Nicole does this? That was kind of what you said. Like when I like use moral authority in the workplace, that was kind of what you were asking, right?
No, you answered my question.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yep. You did. Thank you.
Although I would love to hear that perspective, Nicole.
So I guess I would just say that I try really hard to be present in the moment. And I can't say like that I'm, awesome or anything, but I try really hard, right? To be present in the moment, observe what is happening around me. And when I see something that's like not aligned with the company's goals and missions or even my own moral compass, then I do that deep breath thing and like ground myself and I try to say the thing, right? And sometimes people don't like to hear it, but I think that most people come around, right? So like sometimes you get some flack the first couple of times you do it. But I think if you are coming at it from a place of authenticity and you really want what's best for the group, for the community, that shines through, right? And it works. That's what I try to do. Anybody else trying these things in their workplace and had anything that's working?
I need to learn how to have a poker face. That's something that
You and
I
me
think
both.
made me a bad realtor. So I just didn't have a poker face when people were just doing things and saying things, and I would just anyway. No, but I think I love how your passion exudes, number one, and you can tell that you are following your your spirit, like what you're called to do. And I think when anyone does what they're called to do, people will follow, and you're going to naturally do good work. And I feel like the universe has your back, and it doesn't mean it's easy. Like, I'm into manifesting too. So I'm all into that whole put the intention out there, align your vibration. And I think if you like Ashley joining us, I feel your vibration too. And everybody on this call, I feel like the right people show up. The right people that were here tonight show up, right? And we had a really cool conversation. So I love that you are trying to do something different and you took a chance and you're doing it and you're impacting change because you've impacted me tonight and the ladies who spoke tonight impacted me tonight. So anyway, just want to say thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Heart.
I also feel like you all have impacted me. So because as I embarked on this path, I felt like I did feel kind of alone, but I just kept thinking I can't be the only person. I know other people feel this way. And so I feel like if we just put it out there, right? Like I have to try. We have to try. There's no other option, right?
Absolutely. I think we said it before, build your coalition, find your tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And one of the senior leaders I know said that no one's better at talking about you than you. And so for me, when I share my authentic story, right, of being grounded in Jesus and whatnot, like I've seen that manifest in my own life versus if you ask me to talk about like a cloud Azure migration, I'm like, oh, Google, YouTube. So I love that you're speaking your truth, Nicole. I think this is so powerful. And don't let people discourage you, right? If they don't see the value, because there will be someone that will. And just like a guy that works out at Embark, I know he got his first like huge client recently, but he also had very small clients for a while. So
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That was just amazing.
Mhm.
Probably one of the richest conversations we've actually had in a while, I think, honestly. We're like, I almost don't want to hang up. Like it's, 8 o'clock on a Thursday and we could keep going. Girls' night in,
Yeah. I know I enjoyed it, but I guess I'm kind of biased too.
No.
So I guess it's we got 10 minutes. Does anybody have any final questions for me, or should we hand it over to our organizers?
Saw Mary come off mute.
Oh,
Mary, did you want to share?
I don't know that I have a question, but this has been incredibly helpful and really has changed my thinking in the way I'm going to approach a couple of, I won't say problems, but situations I'm not thrilled about at work. And I think this really gives me tools to approach the situation and just a way to think about it that is less combative and more, trying to help them see my side, kind of help them see what we're doing is not working and why. So thank you.
I love it. And I think you've nailed it, right? It's if you can speak from your heart with the what you're what's coming out of you, like the people will see it, right? They can tell that you're being real. And that sometimes people are like not accustomed to that. So the first time they don't trust it, but sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times, right? Before they kind of let their guard down and are willing to engage in a real conversation with you. But I think we can all do it.
I think I'm at this stage that,
Yeah, what she
to be
said.
blunt, I don't care what the F people think sometimes. I'm just going to put it out there because I'm 50 years old. I don't care anymore. Like, I care and I don't care. Like, what do I have to lose? I have nothing to lose. And if people don't back me up or support me or say, hey, I might not agree with you, it's more of the and yes, right? Right. They're accepting and inclusive, whether it's their jam or not. And if it's not, I'm not with the right people. Good. The universe is taking out the trash for me. It's all good.
I agree. There's something about middle age that you're just kind of like, you know what? Like, I'm done with that, what I used to do, right? Like I'm ready to be myself, and I'm tired of trying to be who I'm not, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just said, I don't think you need to wait for middle age for that.
No.
Okay, even
No,
better.
and I encourage you not to. I waited too long. Don't.
Yeah. Good. I'm so glad to hear that, because I feel like some of us that are a little older, like we waited too long,
Clearly, I'm venting.
What Laura said, the universe takes out the trash for me. Yeah, absolutely. I think that, Nicole, the point that you made earlier that, salaries have gone up 100% and productivity has gone up 400%. That's what leads us to feel this way. That's what leads us to not wait until, later in our careers to not give an F. Like, at a certain point, enough is enough, right? And I think that's it.
I love it. I love it. I'm so glad to hear that that people are not waiting as long as I did, because we should stop hiding and behind these, right, what society is telling us. You know what I mean?
If we could speak to our 20-year-old selves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
why groups like Women in Agile are so important, right? Because somebody has to create the space that people can come out of the woodwork and have that psychological safety to say, hey, me too, right? And that was so instrumental to me when I was working on building my confidence, overcoming imposter syndrome. And she had us deep dive into our core values. And that was kind of what led me to my whole faith journey and everything, and Agile and servant leadership and Jesus, because I was like, wow, this is me. And what I've had to realize, and Kim Menninger did a great job explaining this, is not everyone's going to like Ashley, but as a recovering people pleaser, I don't want everyone to like Ashley. I'll respect your opinion, but I probably won't keep you in my inner circle. Right. And so having that coalition, like having groups like this, that people have a voice, are just so astronomically important.
Totally
Yeah,
agree.
agreed, Diana. I think that this has definitely been a really eye-opening, I can't even like find the right words. Like there's just a lot of feelings.
Yeah, no, good
And this
feeling.
has been really great, really engaging.
Awesome.
Um,
Well, if you want to continue this conversation, as I said, that, you know, I'm working on building that community, so it won't just be like me, right? It'll be all of us, right? Like, so, because I really do feel there's a bunch of us out there that feel just like this, and we need to find each other.
change agents, right? Like all of us.
Yep.
So, Nisha, or is it Diana? We're going to wrap up.
Misha.
I am ready.
Do you want me to stop sharing, or you want to?
Sure. Actually, if I can, before we close things or start to wrap things up, can I ask for a picture?
I'm good with pictures.
Yes, I'm big grabbing photos, by the way, of the event, and I posted the initial one on LinkedIn to get it started that we're having the conversation, and I'm going to be posting more. So I did capture our engagement. So look for it.
Awesome.
And feel free to share and tag and put your comments on your experience. We would appreciate that. It helps Nicole and helps the community.
Yeah. If you guys feel comfortable coming off camera, let's see those pearly whites. Laura. All right. I'm going to take the picture now. 1, 2, 3. Oh, hold on. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Cute. Nah. And we love our ally, Alfonso. Thank you for joining.
Agreed.
He's there. That's cute.
Happy to participate.
Yeah. We support anyone who supports women in Agile, we welcome. So we have a lot of men who join. So, you know, and from all over, it's not limited to Tampa, which is why we like the virtual space too, or hybrid, or we're experimenting with some new things coming up. So thank you for joining. We appreciate it.
Thank you for joining the conversation in the chat too. You provided input.
Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. Just to wrap things up here, what's next? Our next event is going to be in person on July 11th at the Raining Berries in South Tampa. It'll be in person. It'll be more of a laid back. We don't really have a topic or a speaker. It's more of just kind of a networking event. Sometimes we have some fun networking activities, just depending on how creative we're feeling that month. Ways to keep in touch with us, connect with us on LinkedIn, and you can also join our Slack space. You should, if you are a part of the Slack space, we are going to throw out some additional like topics to get some conversations going. I know it hasn't been as active recently, but it is a good way to, you know, keep these conversations going and stay in touch with each other. Do you want to be involved? We want you. If you guys are trying to get involved, to become a co-organizer, feel free to reach out to myself, Diana, Vicky, and we can bring you up to speed. You can also reach out to us via LinkedIn, Slack, however, it is a really great group. If you do want to be involved, but not commit to being a co-organizer, depending on your schedule, we always appreciate you attending, sharing our events, and just participating with us. We really do appreciate that. That really makes it feel like a community, even when we are doing these every other month virtuals. We've already covered the Q&A with Nicole. But if there are any lingering questions for either Nicole, for the organizers, and also I did forget to mention, post your LinkedIn in the Slack so that we can connect with each other. This really has been a great conversation. I will post mine in the Slack. I encourage everyone to do the same as well.
And I'm starting to build also, like, you know, those who attend, we'd love to tag people in the upcoming events, right? We don't want to just post them. We want to tag all of you and reach out to your network and have you share them. So if you see yourself in a tag, don't be surprised. And we would love your commentary. You know, I'm going to post things about this event and would love to see interaction online. That's also really great for, you know, showing you're engaged and that you care and that you showed up to this. So thank you all.
Yeah. So that's all we have for closing. Any questions, any lingering questions for Nicole or any of the organizers? All right.
I want to say thank you, Nicole. This has honestly
Thank
been probably
you.
one of our most engaging topics. And I mean, we you know, this was really, I think, I don't know, deep. I don't know, best way to say it.
Awesome.
Real.
I know I enjoyed myself. Thank you all so much for coming and participating. This was great. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you to all our participants as well. We definitely value.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody have a great evening and we'll talk to you later,
Right.
hopefully. Bye.
Have a good evening, everyone. Hope to see you soon.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Recording.